my opinion on Powerplay and how it's brought my enjoyment of the game to a sudden halt. Powerplay gave ownership of the galaxy to the players instead of dictating it through a predetermined story. However, without any kind of in-game direction or leadership, the game has become a bumbling game of tug-of-war, based for the most part on what randomly appears on the top 10 lists, regardless of what income systems bring. People join for tactical reasons, mainly for the quick cash and the module they prefer. Some people will intentionally hop from power to power for each module to create a Frankenstein's monster of a ship. Some people will do this unintentionally after realising that their module isn't very good because no one really knows yet, or that the playstyle endorsed and ultimately irrelevant statistical benefits don't quite fit the way they want to play. Some people will just get bored and pledge, gaining merits early on until they're sitting on a salary of 1 billion credits and then give up prepping, expanding and fortifying systems because it's one big fucking grind with zero fun. Other people will also join a power with the sole purpose of fucking things up because there's no incentive not to and no repercussions for pushing a negative income system into the top 10. The big player groups were quick to assign themselves as strategists and leaders of Powerplay, which is great, don't get me wrong. However, even at this early stage, it's clear that there's no real end to the weekly grind that players blindly follow for no real reason other than to have more of your coloured blobs across the galaxy map. You can travel fairly safely in enemy space, in open or solo, and can dock in hostile systems unhindered. There's no actual in-game change for pledging, except for the constant bloody NPC interdictions, which I'm sure will be fixed in a future patch anyway, because frankly, that's bloody ridiculous. Sure, you can ignore the groups and stay away from the subreddits, but you're one person and ultimately you don't have enough impact as a lone wolf to change anything on the galaxy map. However, as an experiment, I did, for the most part, single-handedly push my own system to the top 10 prepped during one cycle. Partly to see if I could, but it required a lot of grinding, and there's no way I could have triggered expansion on my own. This highlights a point about having all the power yet no power at the same time. Prepping, at least, is easy if you have the time and money to fast-track. However, the fact that I accomplished this proves how little other people are focusing their efforts. No doubt, because they don't really care. The players have a huge sandbox galaxy within which to blaze their own trail, but ultimately it's a facade. Nothing you can do really matters. I'm not saying these large player groups shouldn't be spearheading the expansion of each faction, because how else can they be organised? But the system is fundamentally broken. I don't want anyone dictating what I can and can't do in a game that I paid money for. Yet I can't have it both ways. I can't help to change the shape of the galaxy without doing what I'm told. And then all Powerplay becomes is just a personal grind for modules and cash, except that that's what Powerplay is regardless of any organisation. Sandbox games need to be just that, a sandbox. Powerplay, at the minute, is just wrong. It doesn't work or mean anything. I understand at the core of it, Frontier wanted to give players a meaningful reason for PvP and to flesh out the galaxy, but it's having the opposite effect. Players are either pointlessly murdering any other faction-aligned player they see, or they are discussing diplomacy and private team speaks, which means bugger all when these player groups are a tiny minority of the full elite player base. The subreddits don't have that many subscribers, and even then, many people subscribe to all the faction subreddits anyway to see what each other is doing, so these numbers don't represent anything. On that topic, the fact that anyone can see what any other faction is doing, in-game and on the subreddits, has no benefit other than to facilitate the game of tug-of-war. Now, if reconnaissance and espionage was necessary to discover what other factions were prepping and expanding before you could oppose them, then that might add a cool, albeit unprofitable part to the game, but it sounds like actual fun. I haven't even mentioned the other big anomalous factor, the Xbox and its alternative instances and alternative player base. There won't be any real merger of the PC and Xbox communities, and I've already seen enough PC Master Race bullshit since the Xbox release to last a lifetime. The problem is, I'm not certain how this can be easily fixed. I've heard various ideas such as create a mission list and bulletin board unique to each faction, which makes the weekly grind more interesting, and to incentivise not giving up after the first month. There definitely needs to be a more profound benefit and repercussion for pledging or defecting. Unique modules could be rendered useless to players that defect, or at least result in a constant wanted status for continuing to use them. Although I'm sure many power hoppers are pirates that don't really care about their wanted status anyway. The rank payout should be reduced considerably to stop people claiming 50 million credits each week for a month and then leaving. Either way, people need a reason to stay in their faction. Replacing Powerplay with a player-made guild system might be a better solution. It would add to the immersion and give players a stronger connection to the game and their achievements. If players could start their own in-game minor faction and take control of systems on a smaller scale, then your own single coloured blob on the galaxy map would have so much more meaning. We should be promoting a localised faction interaction as well as a galaxy-wide political landscape. If your actions as part of a minor faction also contributed to your power's expansion, then this would also help players to feel more connected to the galaxy and also allow room for meaningful roleplay. I think it's amazing that Frontier have updated the game with the intention of giving it more depth and immersion, but instead have done the absolute opposite. I feel like I've had my own story thrown back in my face, and for the first time I don't even know what to do in the game anymore. I'm going to continue making videos because I love the game, and I believe it can be better, which is why I'm so pissed off at it. I haven't released an Elite video in a while because, in all honesty, Powerplay didn't really give me anything to work with. I don't think anyone would want to watch the countless training trips I took in the time I spent to get to rank 5. I will record something soon once I've decided whether or not to continue being involved in Powerplay. I've added some links to friends of the channel at the end of the video, so be sure to check those guys out. Thanks for listening. I will see you in the black.